Okay, this is Tom negotiating with Jesus. I'm going to try and do the second chapter of Mark. We're in Mark, the Gospel of Mark, chapter 2, verse 18. Jesus questioned about fasting. I'm going to give my running commentary on all the Bible, and I don't have a commentary like Henry Matthew, or what's that guy's name? Matthew Henry. Whatever that guy's name is. I do not have my own commentary, but everyone can read the gospel and start just like absorbing, and wisdom and wonder will be revealed to you. Jesus' question about fasting, Mark 2:18. Now John's disciples, John the Baptist, and the Pharisees were fasting. They were doing something to create a sort of separation from the earthly needs and giving them some kind of spiritual food. When we put food aside, it opens us to be fed by something else. Fasting is considered by almost everyone this wonderful habit that can give you some kind of food. It can feed you in some way. Same with meditation. These ideas that we do not live on food alone, bread alone. Now Jesus' disciples and the Pharisees were fasting. Some people came and asked Jesus, how is it that John's disciples and the disciples of the Pharisees are fasting, but yours are not? Jesus answered, how can the guests of the bridegroom fast while he is with them? They cannot, so long as they have him with them. But the time will come when the bridegroom will be taken from them, and on that day they will fast. No one sews a patch of unshrunk cloth on an old garment, otherwise the new piece will pull away from the old, making the tear worse. And no one pours new wine into old wineskins, otherwise the new wine will burst the skins, and both the wine and the wineskins will be ruined. No, they pour new wine into new wineskins. So just a little section, Jesus talking about fasting, and he's just trying to relate wisdom. So every question people ask Jesus, he has some answer that helps them, and they're saying, can you teach me? And he says, I can. So he clearly has some kind of he's not humble in the way that he says, no, I don't have wisdom for you. He does have wisdom, but he is humble in that he does not hold himself as some judge. He does not he makes it clear that he puts people on his own level. He has humbled himself. And you can read about that in Philippians 2. He emptied himself, and in that way he was so humble, but not so humble that he didn't have good things to say. He was a profound teacher. So fasting, a good habit. Everyone knew about it. It's a spiritual practice. Why aren't your disciples fasting, Jesus? Pharisees, wise people, spiritual people fast. And Jesus said, I am like a bridegroom, and everyone's preparing me for my bride. I'm here gathered with my friends. This celebration is happening. There is a time for fasting, and it isn't when you're preparing for your wedding day. My disciples will fast at another time, but not on the eve of my wedding. He goes on to say another thing. You don't sew a new patch onto an old garment. The idea is that an old garment has shrunk, it's weathered, it's done all the things that age does to a garment. If you put a new patch on, it will begin to do all the things that a new garment does. It will shrink, it will wear, and the old garment has no flexibility anymore to stretch. So it will not patch, it will make the tear worse. It will tear what already had a hole in it. No one pours new wine into old wineskins. So the making of wine, a very common, well understood activity. Wine, something valuable. Jesus' first miracle, turning water into wine. You can read about that in John. Another very good gospel. We're going to go through Mark, because Mark is very easy to read. So you don't pour new wine into an old wineskin. Every time you encase wine, you do it with new wineskin. because wine will ferment, it will stretch the wineskin, and an old skin will have stretched as much as it can. You can't put new wine into an old wineskin. It will burst the skin. You'll lose the wine and the wineskin. You put new wine into new wineskins. So he's just making the case that he is fresh and new, and it's time to do a new thing is happening, and it ought to be taken in with new, the newness, the freshness, the wonder deserved. So he's making, he's telling stories, and Jesus was a storyteller, using metaphor and example and story to explain that something new is happening, and take it in with fresh eyes. If you are not seeing it with fresh eyes, you'll miss something. And the idea that everyone knows in some sense that we're blind to the wonders of the world. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows it. No one will be able to say, "Oh no, I didn't understand." In the atheist argument, "Oh no, I was the one who, God hid from me." And in some sense, God is in plain sight. We're in a miraculous, enchanted world, a just so story, and people will make an argument against the miraculous, against Jesus, by saying, this isn't a just so story. We understand. So just so story, yeah, this is a whole nother talk. I don't know if I squeeze it in here. But we are in a just so story. We look around us and we see a world full of wonder, but we don't see it with fresh eyes. And you need to see everything with eyes as fresh as you can. That idea of childlike faith. The kingdom of heaven will be filled with people who see as children. It'll be filled with children and people who see like children with fresh, wonder-seeing eyes. The other day I did a talk and I said we are glory receptors. We see glory all the time, but we have somehow lost our childlike wonder, and we let glory go aside, fall aside without mentioning it, and we ought to mention it. Glory is glorious. Yeah, you're not supposed to use the word to describe it, to define it. Glory is glorious, dang obvious, obvi, as my daughters would say. So there it is, Mark 2:18, fasting. I'm going to do one more video and then I'm going to close it up. I got the sun shining behind me. It's a beautiful day. Get out and see God's glory today. Negotiating with Jesus. I'll talk to you later.